I baked a challah instead of a cake. First, I added yeast to warm water, gave it a good stir, and 10 minutes later it had activated. I then mixed the flour, sugar, and salt, gave that a good stir, and then made a little well in the middle. In the well, I added the egg yolk plus 2 eggs and olive oil. The recipe called for vegetable oil, but I like to use olive oil when possible. Then I poured in the yeast and began mixing until a firm dough had formed. At this point, I could have used the electric mixer, but I was up for a challenge today, and so I opted for the 10 minutes of kneading the dough by hand. And let's just say that by the end of the 10 minutes, I did slightly regret this decision to not use the electric mixer. At this point, the dough is nice and round, and it has to rest in a greased bowl for 2 hours covered in plastic. I placed it in a nice warm sunny spot, and after 2 hours it had risen a lot and it was super fluffy. I've never made challah before, but I'm used to working with cakes and fondant. This was a little different, but I looked up some braiding techniques and decided to go with a 4-strand round one. After gently forming the 4 strands, you place them in a basket weave pattern and gently begin weaving them over and under each other, working in a round pattern. When the strands can no longer be woven, you gently tuck them under the rest of the dough. Then I brushed on an egg wash and popped it in the oven for 30 minutes, and when it came out, it looked and smelled incredible. The recipe I used is from the kitchen. It was pretty easy, and there's nothing like warm, fresh bread.